Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 2nd of July, year 2025. It is very close to the 4th of July, which is Independence Day here in the United States. So happy Independence Day, happy 4th. Have a joyful 4th of July holiday and stay safe while you celebrate. And with that, let me welcome our panel today. Our panel is Lakshmi has joined, who is a session leader on our workshops. She does sessions on mantra chanting. Good evening, Lakshmi. Thank you so much for joining. And Lakshmi hosts a meditation of her own and mantra chanting on Tuesdays. So if anybody's interested, please contact Lakshmi. And then Patricia is here. Good evening, Patricia, who's part of our core group of meditators. And Francesca is joined as well, who contributes to our group. Good evening, Francesca. Thank you for joining. And then Josie is here online with us. She's listening. She's in listen-only mode. So let me look at the question that I had. So this is a question somebody asked Dr. Joe Dispenza during his regular monthly Q&A. What they asked is, what is the difference between emotional dysregulation causing disease? And to give you all an explanation, Dr. Joe always says that when we live by the hormones of survival, right, which is the fight, flight, freeze mode, the hormones of survival, which is the stress hormones, where we are acting in rage, we are acting out of resentment, anger. That's what this questioner means by emotional dysregulation. So what is the difference between emotional? So his normal thing is when we are in that survival mode, we will cause disease. That's what is the cause of the disease. But she's asking, what is the difference between emotional dysregulation causing disease and illness created out of injury, like we meet with a car accident or like maybe fall off, like we are at the lake. You hear about this, right? People are at the lake, they jump off into the lake and drown probably. And so then they may encounter an injury. So is there a difference between the two? And why is that? Lakshmi, if you want to take the question, and I'll post the question in the chat as well.
Can you repeat the question again? Is the I was not paying attention. Yeah.
What is the difference? What is the difference between emotional dysregulation causing disease? And dysregulation means when people live out of the emotions of survival, right? The fight, flight, freeze mode.
Yeah.
Or an injury causing the disease, like, or like you left for the house and then you met with a car accident, right? Or you left and that causes you an injury.
Okay.
Right. And subsequent, maybe you end up with some kind of disease, which is like you end up with long-term, some kind of disability, right? Some people have heart stroke that causes them like a long-term illness, right? So what is the difference between emotional dysregulation causing disease and is there a difference between the two?
To me, as far as I know, there isn't that much difference because in order for you to be like emotional dysregulation, as all of you know, is because of the fight, flight, or freeze mode that you are living in the chemicals of survival. And that's what happens when emotional dysregulation, and as a result, disease is caused because of emotional dysregulation. But the other example is also caused because they were not aligned to their true self. Because um, at least that is what, let me read the question again. What is the difference between emotional dysregulation causing disease and illness caused out of injury? Illness caused out of injury. So, you know what? Let somebody else answer this question and I'll come back to this.
No, respond as much as you can, Lakshmi, so that we get your response. If in case you leave, suddenly we get into a long conversation and then you leave, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So,
Respond.
so to me, that injury itself was caused because of you were not in alignment with your true self. That is what is my thing. So there is a little difference, but there isn't that much difference, is what I am thinking. So yeah, those are my 1 cent.
It wasn't 2 cents.
Yeah, I'm a little tired because I traveled to Raleigh and came back. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Get
Yeah.
some rest. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Grateful
Yeah.
for the feedback. If something arises, just interrupt us and
Sure.
let us know. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Patricia, I'll hand it over to you so that I can continue. I'm just tagging people on the Facebook post. Okay. Give me a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Poonam and Lakshmi, for your insight. I feel very similar to you, Lakshmi, too. First, I couldn't really pay attention, so I didn't get the question. I was grateful that you asked for the question to be repeated. And then I do agree, after everything we know, it almost is just like the exterior, maybe the way the injury happens to us, maybe either over the years as a chronic one, which is like maybe less of a level of it, but constant, versus maybe something, that shocking that all of a sudden it stuck up to the point that we just completely lost it. And then because we lost it, we injured ourselves because we weren't present in the moment. But it's really, yes, I agree, we're not aligned, we're not peaceful in ourselves, that hormones of stress are just taking over, and the pain body needs to, according to Eckhart Tolle, it needs to come out. And in some of us it's dormant for a while, but it doesn't mean that our bodies are still not repeating certain condition pattern that in the long run are causing illness in the first case. And in the second one, the pain body, it's so strong, but it was dormant, let's say, but something triggered it, and then the injury happened. So the root cause of both is, I do believe, the same thing, just not letting our body on daily basis to just heal and to upregulate as our system, so that hormones of stress, like we talk about, are causing either our brain to dysfunction, our heart being incoherent, and everything is just not running smoothly. So it's just a matter of time which one is going to happen over the years. The disease, yes.
So I thought of an example that happened to me like 4 years ago, or maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where I did not know I was having COVID. I became so lightheaded that I thought that maybe, and of course the throat, there was some amount of throat discomfort. So I thought that maybe drinking some hot water would ease the throat pain. But with the boiling cup of hot water, I fainted and I burned myself all
Oh.
over. So, so I think that probably, it outwardly it may seem like an accident, but to me, I always thought that it is the remnants of the pain that I haven't healed, and it needed to show it to me this way that you still haven't healed these parts of you. So that is what came up to me. Thank you.
Lakshmi, I think burning is like at that moment, metaphysically, we are burning up about something. A burn is caused, like if you look at maybe in your personal situation, something is going on that is burning up. And then a burn, whenever I get burned, right? Like I'm deep frying something, and then the oil, this thing, it jumps and burns my skin. I always, for a minute, I go, am I burning up about something at that moment?
That's interesting.
Right. But I think that's what Louisa Hay says in if I remember correctly, that's what she says. Go ahead, continue, Patricia. Sorry. I know that Lakshmi was speaking.
No, I love that Lakshmi showed that example. For me, it's almost, yes, there is something in the energy that, yes, we are just vibrating low, and that dysregulation is caused by, this conditioning or the belief, the subconscious belief about something. And so it's like, as an example, can be depression, or can be a panic or anxieties attacks. So they start, becoming more frequent, let's say, or the periods of depression will be longer because we are still living in the past or in the future, or not able to create that equilibrium in the present moment so our body can heal. And of course, we do have some theories and from medical medium, some insight that maybe some heavy metals accumulated in our brain. So there's a physical also part of it that's causing all those chronic illnesses. But sometimes out of that, we may put ourselves in a situation that caused, like, the accident, the more of a bigger injury, then will cause other issues. So I think we had discussion about it, a long time ago when Kelly was still in. And I know that they were talking about that your body tells you stuff. So if we hurt even a certain part of the body, that accident or the illness created out of injury. So what part of body we are, injuring can also give us a little bit of idea, if we in tune with it, what is that belief and what is really coming to us. The body's communicating something. So I mean, I don't know if I'm answering the right, but difference on the level, outside level, it might be a difference, but really on the roots, what's causing it, that, like Lakshmi mentioned, that lack of alignment and living out of hormones of stress constantly, the body cannot repair, it cannot heal, so it's going deeper and deeper in a different kind of illnesses. And people think that mental illnesses are not injuries, but it is in a sense also certain injuries to our brains caused by either chemical imbalance or the heavy metals or some inflammations. And that's just like a different form on the outside, but it's really the same root cause. We need to meditate more and clear our energies, and then elevate our vibrational frequency, so we're not prone to the emotional dysregulation or any diseases or any injuries, right? Like your example, right? You hurt your groin, you said.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that that was like caused by some kind of also maybe old pain body that needed to show its face, that you needed to heal? Or
No, I thought I told April what I thought it was. It was like you're not wanting to move forward, right? Any injury to the leg is you don't want to move forward, so it's showing you your static, like, what do the legs do? They move you forward, right?
yes.
And then if the injury is caused to move forward, I kind of knew what the reason was at that time, and now I forgot what I had diagnosed. What was the reason why that injury happened at that point in time? I do know that I have been working like every for the last year, more than a year, right? I've been working every weekend, so it's like my balance of being and doing is a little bit disrupted. It's where I was more into beingness before the last year. And that's why we have not done any of the workshops, because one, being a contractor, I did not have any vacation, so I couldn't like take time off to set up the workshops. And then on top of that, then the weekend was not available to actually host the workshops. If not, we would have had a few workshops last year and this year, maybe soon enough, and if I get some balance back. But I thought I had figured out what exactly was the reason. But yes, it is some kind of emotional dysregulation that causes the disease, for sure. And I'm in agreement with Lakshmi that whether it is emotional or whether it is a sudden injury, the injury was given to us, right, Lakshmi, because something needed to wake us up. Like it's like a whack
Yes.
from the.
Yes. That is what I exactly felt when that happened to me.
Right?
Yeah.
That we were like sleepwalking or something, and then suddenly there's a whack. Like, hey, wake up. And that's what the injury does.
Yeah.
Which is what happened to me with the groin injury, because it slowed me down, right? The moment you cannot move, so everything. And then on top of that, the reason why the groin injury happened was, so I have not worked out. I used to work out before in my 20s and 30s, but then for 10, 15 years, I haven't worked out. And suddenly now in my 50s, I'm trying to work out. Right? And workout, meaning I'm doing weights, heavy weights, and I'm doing lots of squats and this thing. So my body is telling me you cannot suddenly change too.
Yeah.
Right? I have to give it some time to
Slowly.
be resilient.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so leave alone the time. And then I'm working out and I'm not stretching.
Yeah.
And that'll cause the stiffness in the muscles, right? So the moment I started to do my stretch, maybe the muscles tore at that point in time. But
physical body has its limitations still, as much as we want to be energy only, we are really bound to that 3D reality when we have to respect the limits of our physical bodies.
The one thing I have to say is I had not gone to a doctor, or I have not done any physical therapy from external. I just watched something on YouTube. I did increase my meditations. I did more body electric, right? And all that healed. And I got a healing session as well. And out of all that, it's self-healed. So as Dr. Joe says, the power that made the body heals the body.
That's
You have to-
amazing. Maybe for you, that was exactly what you needed to experience to really see how powerful we are, and we don't have to go for everything to conventional medicine doctors that will give you pills and put you in a cast and whatever they do.
Exactly. Like they would have given me muscle relaxers. They would have given me physical therapy that would have been thousands of dollars of treatments, right? Each physical therapy session, I don't know how much it is, like $200, $300 a session, right? If I would have done 10 sessions, that would have been a few $1,000. So one thing I did save out of Dr. Joe's teachings is the money that is in medical this thing. I wanted to go back, Patricia. Can I talk about what you talked about right before we joined the Facebook Live about
Oh,
your
absolutely. Please. Yes. If that, yeah, it's interesting.
you want to tell Lakshmi real quick, and then maybe Lakshmi can give you advice. Then I want to go to Francesca. Go ahead.
Oh, quickly that, so Poonam asked me how my day was. And I actually admitted it wasn't that great. And I felt that at work, it's really work related. A lot of things were coming from different side in me, a lot of mistakes everywhere. And I thought that I could make a difference just with my presence and being there and answering questions and stuff, that I could make a difference, but just mistakes kept happening. And I'm just trying to ask myself what I could have done differently for everybody else to not to make those mistakes, because I'm in a position of leadership right now. So if they make a mistake, it's really my mistake. And it just kind of felt like everything is chaotic, and nothing runs smoothly from the field and the technicians to the customers, the office people. It's just, and the bosses are away. So I share that, and Poonam mentioned that it looks like maybe my inner, since the outside world reflects or mirrors our inner world, that there is some disturbance inside me. Even though, I meditate, I rest,
Mhm.
so I guess that's what you
Yeah.
think, how that's
Outer situations are always mirroring whatever is happening inside of us. So it is just a reminder for you to stay more and more aligned to your true self amidst of all the mistakes and whatever is happening. Just accept that all of this are happening, but at the same time suddenly start focusing on your breathing, or whatever that practices that you do, because for everyone it's a different practice. For me, chanting some mantras and reminding who I truly am immediately starts bringing me back to the alignment. So you need to focus on that, because like Poonam said, whatever is happening, it is mirroring whatever is going on inside of you at the present moment. So all the unhealed aspects of you are showing up. And then I always tell people, say thank you. Thank you to all that is happening also, because nothing happens without any reason, right? No situation or no person is there without any reason. So all of those mistakes, everything is actually happening for a reason. So start aligning to yourself and say, thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every mistake that is happening, showing me what I need to actually be doing right now. So, yeah, that is what I think is happening.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Lakshmi. It's
Mhm.
it's as I see it is every day at work right now. I'm actually I took Punam advice, and instead of using the Dr. Joe's morning meditation to meditate, I actually listen to the words as I'm driving
Mhm.
about what thoughts, and it's a good reminder.
Mhm.
So as he's asking what thoughts, I'm driving, but I also say to myself, so this is what I don't want to think, this is what I don't want to feel, that's how I'm not going to act, and kind of lining up this as I am approaching very early in the morning to office. And then I do his breath when I get to the office, the inspire breath, to kind of clear that energy and ready. And few days were running back great, and all of a sudden today it's like almost to prove, like, are you sure you're ready for this? Like, maybe there's something else that you're lying to yourself and you need to look at. So let's show you the contrast, or what
This is not a linear path, right? The spiritual journey is not a linear path. Regression happens on this path. So accept that this too is part of your journey, and not think that, oh my God, I'm actually not a good student or anything. You are a good student, but this is part of the process.
it's thank you. Yes, Lakshmi, very grateful for this. I need to remember because I know what's happening.
Yeah.
My bosses are away for this week,
Yeah.
and
The
I
stress.
am in a sense in charge.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Now
stress.
everything is showing up, and my first thought when stuff is happening is like, oh my gosh, am I capable, and
Yes.
can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want when my boss leaves, he said, you're gonna keep up the fort, or we're gonna have a company to go back to. He said, I'm always afraid that if I leave, something bad's gonna happen. And I said, I'm here, leave, just relax, I'll be here, whatever is needed. And then things like this show up, and like, oh my God, am I competent? Like,
No, you are. But also, she kind of manifested her desire or whatever, because she put it out in the universe that whenever I leave, bad things happen. So, of course, you really cannot help other people. You can only help yourself. And next time you tell yourself, whenever she leaves, only good things happen. Yeah, yeah,
that's a great point. You're right.
yeah,
Because that's the spelling, that
yes,
right, the
yeah,
words, like Carolyn May said, every word we say, it's a prayer.
yes, yes,
So are we praying for bad things or good things?
yeah.
So you just got to be very aware. But this is a great question, actually, how other people's prayers or their energies affect mine. It's like, I want to now, yes, prove to myself, prove to my boss that I'm capable, that they can trust me. But they have their own karma. It's like, oh, bad things gonna happen, so now I have to deal with bad things to prove that I can do it. I mean, it's just interesting how we got together to work through their stuff and my stuff, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Grateful, Lakshmi. Thank you so much. Eternally grateful. So one of the things, Patricia, like if things were going wrong, right? This is something I've been telling Josie as well. Like this happened, and it may not there's no right or wrong. This happened.
Right.
It's not a mistake. That happened. Right? So the moment it happened, like they're just three modalities of awakened doing according to Eckhart: acceptance, joy, enthusiasm. So either you can be joyful about it, you're not joyful about it, you're not enthusiastic about it. But the next state is we have to move into a state of acceptance. So your mind saying it's a mistake, it's a mistake, it's a mistake is resistance. And that resistance is causing more. What we resist persists. What we fight strengthens. So the first time you said it's a mistake caused the second mistake. The first and second mistake caused the third mistake. The first, second, third mistake caused the fourth mistake. If you would have accepted the first mistake as this person did this, the fact, that's why he says, make it into facts of the situation. This person, let's say this person yelled at the customer, right? This person yelled at, I'm just using an example.
This specific example was that one of the CSR, when setting the jobs, did not attach invoices to the jobs. So we were basically doing services for free that's costing us thousands of dollars. And now, you know, we have to go back to all his jobs that he set up now to call the customers, charge their cards on file, or get their payments after the fact. In the meantime, it was supposed to happen as the customer calling, setting it up. Right. He was supposed to put the invoice in. So then once the job is completed, their card is being charged for the service.
Right. So what is the second resistance is? You're resisting the opportunity to call back all the customers. Look how the ego works. What you're not, it's not a mistake because they did what they did. It's a mistake because now you're going to have to call everyone back and do this extra work. No, this is the life situation. This person did this. They didn't attach the invoices. Okay, from now, what do I do in this present moment? What is the result of that? I cannot mull. I'm already away from work. I'm here at home. I don't need to think about it anymore. Because at this moment, I cannot do anything about it. Now at 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, you can do something about it. That's when you pick it back up. It needs to drop. Anything about work needs to drop the moment you leave work. It has to be like what I do is, you know how the gas stove has like an on-off switch? I just turn it off. Like I literally do an off in my mind. The moment I'm out of work, off. Nothing, because I cannot, like, then I am not honoring my present moment, this holy instance. I'm not honoring the vertical dimension. If I'm constantly back into what happened at work, right? I'm not honoring, maybe you were eating dinner, whatever you did after you came back home. You didn't honor your dinner. You didn't honor us because for the first few minutes, you were not even listening to us.
Right.
And you were not even giving presence to us, right?
Sorry.
Because your mind is going. So this is what Eckhart is teaching. It's about giving presence to it exactly where you are. That requires your attention. That requires your focus. Right now, what happened at work, and those were life situations. Just look at the fact of the situation. Okay, this person did this. Okay, tomorrow, whenever you go back, is when you resume. Okay, this person did this. What is the antidote to that? This person did this. What is the antidote to that? This person did this. What is the antidote to that? And just do what needs to be done. And that is leadership. Your leadership is not that everything is going perfect. Your leadership is in how much agility and nimbleness and accountability and responsibility you take for what is going on. Right? Did you adapt to the situation immediately? Were you resilient enough and quickly enough? You moved. If you spiral into, oh, what happened? Why it happened to, because am I not good enough? That will take you into the good, not good enoughness of you. You'll go into a sense of lack. Presence will not flow. And the moment presence doesn't flow, something else will go wrong. And it's not that your manager put in voodoo on you. You're not allowing enough presence to flow. Because probably if you take the first 2-3 days, you were rested. There's something about your presence between yesterday and today that you're not in enough presence today. Right? There's something between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that by Wednesday, something happened. There's not enough meditation or not enough rest, that you're not in presence, and out of the non-presence. So learn these things. One, I will always look at the facts of the situation. I will not label it, he's a jerk, that's a mistake, no, that is a life situation. I love the fact that Eckhart uses the word life situation. It is just a life situation. Okay, this is the life. Look at the facts of the situation. This is what happened. Then this happened. Now, how can I be resilient about it? How can I actually show agility and nimbleness? What is the quick action that needs to be done to recover from this situation? And that's it. And that's leadership.
It's basically like he was talking about Eckhart when you're just standing in the puddle of water or some kind of pot, whatever it was he was talking about. And then what do? Do I say, oh my God, what has happened to me now? You just, okay, let's get myself out of there.
Yeah.
Right? What can I do to get and just
if you put your foot in the muddy water,
yeah.
If you put your foot in the muddy water and stuck in like swamp. So let me go to Francesca before it gets too late. Francesca, if you want to talk about both topics, what Patricia said, and I know Cheryl is here to give some input as well. Actually, let me read real quick what Cheryl said online. She said, the energy that created the body heals the body. The mother didn't grow the baby, and energy did. The light of conception is more brighter than the sun. That is the power of this energy. And after Francesca, you can speak, Cheryl. Go ahead, Francesca. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll start with the question first. So the difference between emotional dysregulation causing disease and illness created out of injury. What everybody shared is profound, and that's literally what it is. There is no difference. It's basically the universe finding ways to get us to wake up, to bring our attention back to ourselves, to that connectivity with our inner body. Something we tend to negotiate away habitually. It happens to us so easily, when we become identified with our mind, right? It pulls us away from that connectivity. It pulls us outside of ourselves. And, then we become something else. We start to play that role that we were essentially told we should be playing. And we forgot the most important part of ourselves, which is our being, right? Our beingness. And so whether, we receive an injury or, illness because of an injury or, illness because, chronic condition, right? Dysregulated nervous system, which is what creates a chronic condition. They're both essentially playing roles in their own significant way to teach us, hey, wake up, Wake up, I'm here, I'm here. It's like the older, I always visualize it as like my higher self going, hello, Francesca, I'm here. You forgot me. Hello. And it will start with something little, to get your attention. And again, we have this habit of negotiating ourselves away. And really, when I'm sharing about my own old former patterns. Right? We have this tendency of negotiating ourselves away, of ignoring it, or thinking, we're going to come back to it. But that is not how it works, because what ends up happening, thinking, oh yeah, we're going to come back to it, is something else arises, and life keeps flowing. But here we are, just accumulating, negotiating, and remaining disconnected. Essentially from the essence of who we truly are. So these are just, I often see them as, wake up calls. My biggest one was 4.5 years ago. And, some of the most important lessons I've learned is really the biggest one is not to negotiate myself away, no matter what's happening on the outside, Now it's easy. In the beginning, I was kicking and screaming, but it's easy to literally take a breath and just drop everything that's happening on the outside. It doesn't matter if the world is coming to an end, that's what's happening on the outside, or, oh my God, there's it doesn't really matter what's happening on the outside. Drop it, because at the end of the day, when you're in your hospital bed, whether you receive that injury through, let's say an accident or whatever, it's a chronic condition that got you up to the hospital, no matter how you receive that injury, at the end of the day, when you're laying in your hospital bed, unable to do nothing, absolutely nothing, that's when you realize nothing else really mattered. Because you have no choice. At that point, you're forced to let it all go, right? It didn't matter whether Facebook or the phone, or it's just like you don't even have the energy or any life in your body to pick up that phone, let alone to read your messages or think. You don't even have any physical energy to think. You have no choice but to be. And essentially, I always say, it's a blessing, because it's our higher self way of waking us up, to help us to remember, and become present with our inner body. And I will forever preach Eckhart Tolle's inner body meditation, because that was the meditation that literally, in the end, even though I've had all these fascinating, I can share stories, and you eventually will read them in my book, of all the spiritual experiences that I've had. At the end of the day, I still had to learn to come back to my inner body, to connect with my inner body, because I had become so accustomed to doing. I became identified with my mind, and I kept getting lost in the doing. And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it until I was in that hospital bed over and over again. And I'm like, oh my God, I've become identified with my mind, And actually, one of the other big lessons I've learned is that process itself taught me how easily I can drift, how easily I can become identified with the mind. We all can, it's this noise of life that we've created have its way of like luring us into this, external streams of consciousness. And so this entire process itself, for me personally, have taught me how to, turn off my Facebook. And believe it or, and it's strange, because everybody who knows me knows that I like to talk a lot, and I like the social. I used to, let me rephrase that, a past version of me now, like to talk a lot and socialize and blah blah blah. Oh my God, now it's like the opposite. I don't even recognize myself, because in the beginning I'd become so slow. Even that my mind fought. It was like, oh my God, I'm so slow. But what ended up happening in the end, because of all of that, this entire year, thanks to Eckhart and that inner body meditation, which, by the way, I had to do over and over and over again. It took me 9 times, in addition to like the 3 weeks that I was in the hospital, to even remember what hands felt like. I laugh at that now because I was like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't even remember what hands. I remember I was holding my hand up and I couldn't feel anything. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know what hands feel like. So I would wake up every morning and I'd start over and over and over again. And of course, eventually, once, I landed, I've been doing everything in my practice now to nurture my connectivity to that presence. And I think Patricia mentioned it, or Lakshmi, that, and I think Poonam as well, when there's a specific part of the body that's injured, or broken, or whatever the case we want to call it, there is always some sort of significance, some sort of a causation that relates to that part of the body. The universe is trying to get our attention to say, hey, that's our heart. In my case, it's my heart, like, oh my God, your entire nervous system is dysregulated. You're in a stress response, and even though you're having, bliss and all of these beautiful things, your nervous system is thinking something else completely different. I was like, oh my God, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't recognize it until that moment. I was just like, oh my God, I can finally feel it. Like the top half of my body was completely disconnected from the bottom half of my body. So like, in my Kuan Yin, I'm like, oh, so grounded. And then when I try to move the energy up, it gets here and it's like, oh my God. It's like my two half of my body feels like this. So there's so much that we learn from this presence, from this mindfulness, which is what disease in general is designed to teach us, illness and so forth. It's about coming back, remembering to come back home. It's about presence, becoming present, not forgetting, it's really essentially designed to help us to remember the essence of who we truly are. So essentially, both parts of that question points to our need to waking up, to remembering. Slow down or hurry slowly, like Eckhart Tolle would say, right? And now I love the slow. In relation to Patricia's share, what came through as I was listening from presence is surrender, like Poonam was saying, right? Really, essentially the need to surrender, basically just surrendering. So if it's chaos, somebody didn't do what they're supposed to do, okay, sure, this is something I do with universe. Okay, chaos comes, it's like, okay, I guess that's the experience for today. Okay, sure, whatever, yeah, I just triggered. Okay, sure, yeah, I just reacted as a human, oops. Now I'm going to do my inner work to, figure out why I reacted and so forth, because that's part of my normal day-to-day practice. Or something good happens. Okay, sure, but there is no labeling. There is no identification with what's happening and so forth. And it's, basically my way of remaining present and staying connected to the essence of my being in whatever it is that I'm doing. So essentially it's, without getting lost in the doing itself, because when I'm getting lost in the doing, it means I've now become identified with the mind and the stories that the mind's creating about this happening and this not happening, or this is supposed to be this way. Like, so surrendering is like, okay, this is what happened. How do I respond to it rather than react to what the mind is, the noise that the mind is going to share over here, right? So how do I respond to it? Well, responding to it means, okay, so this person didn't do something. Now it means I have to call all of these customers, well, first of all, get a list of these customers, call them all, have the conversation with them and gather their payment information, right? And then their payment information so that, informing them that you're going to be billing them for the service and so forth. But I'm sensing there might be a fear in making those phone calls to the customers and them suddenly finding out that, oh my goodness, they're going to be billed for something they weren't informed of, which, they should have been at the point of sale. And that's okay. Sit with that fear. I can relate to that fear because I remember I had that fear many years ago when I created Brothers in Arms, Building Better Lives, which is a free program for men. And there was no other program like it. So I had nothing really to compare to or anything like that. And I remember when I first set the launch date, I announced it, and everybody that I thought that was going to join, suddenly nobody's registering. And it's like a week now, 1 week before the start date, and not a single person has registered for the program. I started panicking, and this was where my mind started creating every version of story you could possibly think of. It's like, oh my God, I need to change the dates. Oh my goodness, if I change the dates, the facilitators are going to think I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm doing because this is, me. I was living in a homeless shelter for women and children, and I had just moved out. So it's only been a few weeks. So I'm like, oh my God, they're going to think I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm going to have to, these powerful facilitators whom have had their own businesses teaching, consciousness and all of these beautiful things. I have to pick up this phone to call and ask them if, after they're gifting me their time for free to begin with, to pick up this phone and call and ask them if it's okay for me to change the date, and are they still, willing to show up on the new date? And I know I'm asking for a lot. You should have heard me on the phone call. I know I'm asking for a lot, and I'm so sorry, but nobody signed up for the program and so forth. My entire body was shaking. Like I can still feel it when I think about the story and I put myself in that state of consciousness. My fingers, the tips of my fingers, I could feel my toes, everything was shaking. I kept rehearsing the phone calls in my mind over and over again because that was a time when, I was rehearsing everything. So again, identified with my mind and in the mind. And I would never forget, I made the first phone call, and then it was the HeartMath facilitator. And I explained to him how scared I was, what was happening, and that I'm shaking and blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, he's like, Francesca, okay, breathe with me. And then he said, just so you know, what you've just shared has happened to every facilitator, to all of us, myself included. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh yes, we've had launched, when we've launched our programs, like nobody signed up or something like that. We've had to change dates for many reasons. And so, you're not the first person this has ever happened to. Well, my egoic state of mind, its form fear state, didn't tell me that, right? So there I was panicking, and he's like, it's okay. Yes, it's okay. I'm like, so is it, you're okay if I were to push it like a month away, like to say, like, so instead of March to April? He's like, oh yes. And he's like, don't be as nervous, so he kind of coached me through the process. And then when I called the second facilitator, he's like, oh yes, it's okay. So everybody was, okay with this change and saying yes. And so I was like, I could feel like my whole body, everything was just like, shifting and shifting. And then finally I got to the last person that I called on the list. And believe it or not, the last person was where everything I had thought about manifested. Literally. So the universe was like teaching me this profoundly in a way that I would understand it, right? Everybody's like, yes. And then the last guy, he was like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable saying yes to you anymore. Obviously, you don't know what you're doing, and blah, blah, blah. And literally every thought that I had in my head prior to even finding the courage to make those phone calls, he mirrored them right back to me and said he's going to have to say no. and that I'm going to have to find another facilitator to replace him. Well, it just so happened about 2 weeks prior, I had heard this beautiful, beautiful evolved being speaking like at a conference we had all went to. And I fell in love with her energy and what she was sharing. And right away when he said that, I already knew who I was supposed to call to be that facilitator. I replaced him. And sure enough, I called her. We had the most beautiful conversation. Like within minutes, she was like, oh, I would absolutely love to serve, Francesca, like to give back and to be a part of this program. And so, I'm getting goosebumps. It all manifested beautifully. And I'm sharing that because, yeah, your story kind of reminded me of that, that fear that, with all of the thought formation, especially when we're in this, leadership position that we're now in. Like me, I had no clue how to do workshops, let alone, my consciousness was still awakening. It was, and I was still learning as I was going. And so much was happening. And in the end, thanks to, in addition to Eckhart's teachings and my own evolutionary growth to this present moment, everything have taught me to surrender. And Eckhart reminder, like I wake up to Eckhart, because honestly, his voice, his energy, his teachings literally regulates my nervous system. Like, and I know like his essence, the energy that he emanates, like I listen to him and it's like, I can be present all day listening to Eckhart. So that's where my daughter and I actually currently were clashing, because I don't listen with headphones. I play my phone on my phone loudly, right? Because it's part of my process. As I'm making my tea, I'm listening to Eckhart. I'm doing the dishes, I'm listening to Eckhart, and this is my morning routine. And she's like, Mom, you need to turn that down. Mom, you need to just like, don't interrupt my spirituality. I need to surrender to that interruption. Thank you guys so much. I am complete, I think.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Grateful for your insights, Francesca. I love the fact that you actually talked about the inner body meditation. That is really important. And we actually have, as part of Carolyn Mace's course, Dr. Norm Shealy has one very beautiful half-hour inner body meditation. So you can try that, Patricia, before you go to bed. That's a beautiful reminder to do an inner body, get back out of your mind into the body, right? Where he brings the golden light at the very end, all throughout the body, right?
And Deepak Chopra, now that you mentioned somebody else, that just remind me of from the wisdom teaching. He has a beautiful, it's literally just a few minutes, and literally it's like the inner body meditation as well. Yeah, it's so powerful. It's just as powerful as Eckhart's, same. Yeah.
You said something else about in the beginning. Now I've forgotten, because you talked about so many things that it was very hard to remember what you said initially. But it was something about it had something to do with things being impermanent. I'm not using the correct word. It'll come to me, but beautifully said. Thank you so much. We'd probably rewind and re-listen to what your advice was. So grateful. Let me move on to Cheryl. I know it's getting to the top of the hour. Patricia, if it's getting late for you, you can drop. It's okay. Okay. Thank you. Grateful for your presence. Cheryl, go ahead. You wanted to say something? Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I came in at the end, but I was just, I caught the end of your words on how the energy in our body, the energy that created this body, does heal the body. I've got quite a journey, and I won't go in depth with it, but I have come through chronic stuff and learnt to tap into that energy and and studied a lot of science on neuroplasticity in the last 5 years and learning. But Patricia, I don't know your story on what happened, but my techniques, everyone's looking for a technique to awaken. But my biggest technique, I would say to anyone, is intention. Your intention to not resist anything that comes in, because everything that I won't use, I think we've all heard the saying, man is the sum of his past experiences. I'll say humans are some of their past experiences. So our mental construct, our subconscious mind, we've created upon beliefs and stuff that we've taken in, and because we are the conscious part, the most conscious part of our being, and it's very powerful. But the subconscious mind is also powerful. But as that enters in your workspace, when you're in that position, your greatest power is when you first feel that pull. That's when you've got to find that intention to not resist what is entering and get pulled into that loop, because that subconscious mind, as those words are entering or someone's saying something to you, the energy comes in through our brain, but then that subconscious mind has the power to pull on past experiences, and then it will pull you into a loop. And there's the body and the mind. The body's feeling that tension. There's that stress. Oh no, and here comes the voice. So then you're stuck in this loop until it's your will. What is your intention? Lean back, take a breath, and let that energy just come in, enter, and let it go without being pulled in to that initial story, which is based on past experiences to how you reacted in the past. Because when we respond, a respond is coming from the better part of us, the higher self. I'm not sure if this is, getting out there to you, but that's what I do. So I feel that tension in my body when someone says something, but I know it's an energy, because words are energy. Everything is energy that enters our body, and that energy wants to come down, but it also wants to come back up, and it wants to be released. But if you get pulled, if that energy is enough to pull you in and loop it, and that loop closes, you're stuck. But if you can resist, it's the power of that non-resistance to sit back, just observe, but notice in yourself, there's the energy. Yeah, there it is. Let it go. Let it go. Don't get pulled into it, and sit back, take a breath, just lean back into it. You will then come back into that present moment, do that conscious part. You will have that ability to respond. But it's not going to happen overnight. It will keep happening, and it will keep happening. But challenges are there, because each time you evolve and you say, I'm not the same version of myself that I responded to or reacted to something that happened at work yesterday, because I learnt that bit more. I came back to my own powers, because it is very powerful, that conscious power, when you connect to it. It's who we are. It's what created this body in the first place. I now know my mother didn't grow me. It was a very powerful energy that created this body. And that's where we're supposed to be. When we were a baby, there was no expectations of us. We were beautiful. We could throw up on our mother's Gucci bag and no one said, naughty girl. Then all of a sudden we'd throw up when we got older, and all of a sudden we're told we're not good enough, or that's naughty. So therefore, there we started to build our subconscious mind. There's the mental construct starting to get built, and then something else, you might have done that again, and there's the build on the mind. So over the years, we've created this monster subconscious mind, who we think we are, but we're not. So the idea is not to be pulled to that old energy. Sit back, take a breath, and just trust it, and let that energy go. You will feel it. You'll feel this lightness. It takes about 90 seconds, because it's an emotion. Emotion is energy. Emotion, that's all this is about, is an energy force that has dysregulated our system. So underneath our layers of skin are nerves. So when that energy enters, Therefore, it gets stimulated. And off that stimulation then becomes the stress in our body. But if you don't resist, it's the power of non-resistance with an intention from your free will, which is your consciousness, to not resist the energy. Allow it to come and allow it to go out, but don't be pulled into that loop. And if you do get pulled into the loop, that's okay. Let it go. Go, here I am. Come back, just keep coming back, leaning back. You just got to lean back. If you feel yourself get pulled like that, you're getting pulled into that loop. But just keep leaning back, leaning. You'll notice the difference. You just keep learning to lean back and allow that energy just to flow through and let it flow back out. It takes many years. We're all still evolving. I'll still be evolving. I have challenges every day of my life. But I always say thank you. Thank you for the message. Thank you for that opportunity to take that on board and let it go once you really tap into that energy and understanding of it. But I'll just mention, when I did write on the website about the light of concept being brighter than the sun, that is actually scientifically proven, that the light was so bright. So you can imagine when you stare at the sun, the intense power from that sun, of that brightness. So that is the power that you have in you to overcome those challenges with. That's my way. This is just my way. That's my biggest technique, is what is my intention to resist anything that comes in when I first feel it. Because stress is a situation's happening. You've been, say, pulled into a work situation, and the first part of the resistance is there. The first energy that you've got to get through is, the dread of the dread of that meeting. There you go. There's the first one. So you've already pulled that, sucked that energy into you. Then you go into the meeting, and then the added stresses come, and that's how we form stress in our body. So that first part, that first dread is, I don't want to go to work today. There you go. You've got to then sit back with that and let that part go, and not let it build and build and build, because that's when you get pulled into that subconscious, lovely mental construct we've built and created, this monster mind, that's how we're meant to respond and react to things that happen in our life. And it's just not the case at all. It's a matter of changing and rewiring that, and it is definitely possible to do that, as long as we don't answer it. Don't log in. Don't log in. My house 5 or 6 years ago, I call this my temple, my house. I might as well have given the remote control with the amount of people I was taking to bed every night. They could have had the coffee machine and everything going in me, and here's the remote control me. But now they don't. I don't allow anyone to enter my temple. This is my house. And I don't allow those energies in. When I feel that energy coming, I lean back. I don't lean into it. And I just breathe. And I go to that conscious power, because that conscious power, that first thing that happened to you as a child, because this is how far it goes back, was so powerful that it pulled you into the body, into that belief, and you froze that moment in time. There goes, I'm not good enough. There's the first part of the ego. And then you've built on that, and you've built on that. So that power, those words, that energy that had enough to freeze your consciousness to that belief that you're not good enough, is the same power that releases it. So it's a will with an intention. What is my intention? To release it and not get pulled back into that energy, because that energy wants to, that we froze in time, it wants to release. It wants to go. It's just we haven't allowed it to completely dissipate yet, to integrate that, to let it go. So it hasn't done its full work. We're still looping into it. So it's a matter of releasing and letting it go, and it will keep trying to come until you release that final program. But I think that's all I've got to say. I don't know the full story. I just wanted to share what I have found has worked for me. And I hope that it may resonate with even one more person out there who's on the journey to awakening. And thank you.
Beautiful, beautifully said, Cheryl. Thank you so much for that technique. Lean back instead of resisting, right? That's what you were saying. So Patricia, you're going to give presence to every phone call, pick up the phone, like Eckhart says, hello, and allow your presence to flow into each and every person. And it is okay, right? It was not a
Patricia, I'm
mistake.
right there. Sorry, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Poonam. I was going to say I'm right there with you, Patricia, in my surrendering to my daughter's resistance. So thank you for bringing forth that question. My God, I was sitting here in my mind and I'm giggling. I'm like, universe, you're really funny, you know? So
That's
thank
what I
you.
tell. That's what I tell Patricia, that she is like exemplary in bringing up all these real life situations that apply to everybody, and she's offering that service, her selfless sacrifice to this Facebook Q&A is we can continue a conversation because you bring up a real life situation, and then we can say, okay, this is what we can do with the teachings on how to apply the teachings. So get enough rest. Don't think about work. If you can do a half hour of inner body meditation, do that. And then tomorrow, wake up at 5 a.m. and then start again. The one thing I wanted to say, we cannot do the Facebook Live on the 16th. So are y'all okay with meeting next week so that we don't have too much of a gap? So we'll meet next Wednesday. So just remember that we'll have another Facebook Live next Wednesday. And then, which is, today's the 2nd, so it will be on the 9th at the same time. So make sure.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I'm incredibly
good.
grateful to all of you, and this Facebook Live was amazing. So amazing. Thank you. Grateful.
You feel better than where you were when you started the Facebook Live?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the way you verbalize, like, yes, it happened to me, but if we can all learn from this, it's amazing, because
So leadership is not about, learn that leadership is not about everything going smoothly. Leadership is about how much agility, adaptability, and nimbleness you show when life's challenges come to you. And it is just plain life. You're going to show your daughter the same thing, right? If challenges come to you as a mother, right? The agility and nimbleness, instead of sitting there and what my life, what's going on
Oh
in
my
my
God,
life?
yeah, my ego mind was like, oh my God, there's a demonic entity in my house. That was the first place I went. These are all the energies that I don't allow in here. Literally, that's where it went, down that rabbit hole.
Right? Instead of all that, you just like see the situation. This is what is needed in this situation, and this is what I need to do, and just move forward. And I will explain this next time on Wednesday, on the 9th of July.
Yeah.
Many blessings.
Next
Thank you so
week.
much. Next week. Thank you for
I won't
choosing
be
a
here
divinity.
next Wednesday, but I won't be able to join next Wednesday. But yeah, when we do next after that.
Okay, sounds
Thank you
good.
guys so much.
Thank you for choosing your divinity over your humanity. Many blessings. Much love to everyone. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Good day.
night.
Bye.
Bye.